Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Anchor of the Week, where we have hard conversations, hear people's stories, and challenge perspectives. I'm Courtney.
And I'm Zach.
We're coming at you with a fresh new episode as we continue on in our series about everything about the mind, therapy, psychology, how it affects our behaviors. Yeah, it's a good time.
Yes. Yep. We've got a couple of articles today to look through. And it's a fun one, the first one, because we're going to tie in a little bit of our AI episode and our whole chat from there.
Which, we love. We love these conversations.
Yes. And so it kind of ties in a little bit to today's, well, at least for the first article. Yes. Why don't you explain what the article is?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a BuzzFeed article. Both these are from BuzzFeed, so don't come at me for my news sources, by the way. But it says, people are using ChatGPT for therapy. Here's what mental health experts think about that.
We did say this was going to happen, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure on the episode.
Well, especially, so if you haven't listened to that episode, you should go back. Mainly because it's Zach's favorite part, is we actually disagreed with one another on a few things.
That is my favorite part.
That was his favorite part, yeah.
Genuinely, yeah.
We talked a lot about like Snapchat, like the My AI, which this is a complete side note. But in Snapchat, when I'm like messaging people, every time I say my AI pops up.
Interesting.
Isn't it interesting? Anyway, it was very annoying.
It's searched a lot.
Yeah, it's like, you want to talk to me. You want to talk to me.
Yeah.
But how like basically like we can like vent our emotions, or like it like offers that kind of emotional support.
Yeah.
Even though it's an emotionless algorithm.
Yeah.
Strange in and of itself. But yeah, and ChatGPT is one of those like things right now.
Yeah.
The AIs that people are using to have conversations and make meal plans and everything, write songs. What else do we do with it? But yeah, so basically here we are now. We're in 2023 and robots can give us therapy.
Yeah. I think it's, well, before we start reading this lady's comments on like her use of it in therapy, I think it's just something like, it's someone who listens to you, isn't it? It's someone who kind of takes in whatever you have to say, regardless of anything else.
Yeah.
And so it's quite an easy tool to be like, to go to because of that. It's nice.
That's the thing.
Simple as that, isn't it?
And I think that like is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
But it makes me sad that people don't have people to talk to.
It does, yeah.
Anyway.
Okay, so this is Kyla. Her name is Kyla. Obviously, I think her background is that she uses it, and basically this is just her talking about it. But she says, I often feel better after using online tools for therapy, and it certainly aids my mental and emotional health. I enjoy being able to unload my thoughts on ChatGPT and would consider this an improvement from journaling because I am able to receive feedback on my thoughts and situation.
Right?
Right.
And like journaling is like a very popular, okay, like write down your thoughts, your emotions, try to process them, try to get them out,
Yeah.
But this is a whole other element.
Yes.
Because like you're receiving feedback.
Right.
But
it's just encouraging the journalism thoughts. Like whatever you're writing on there, it's kind of just helping aid that, I feel like.
Yeah.
Or like it'll give you some classic, because we had a bit of a play around with it as well.
Yeah.
And it'll give you some classic responses that you kind of can get from, I guess, anyone, right?
Well, that's the thing. It's a generic, or it's supposed to be generic, and it's supposed to be unbiased. But again, here are thoughts on our previous AI episode. But the fact is that it's just gathering information and telling you things. So it's like you're using it because you want that personal connection.
Right.
But like,
yeah,
it's not giving you anything that's like specific to you.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, this is what you say in situations like this.
Right.
That's horrible.
It is, yeah. I think it's interesting because they are associating like this as therapy. And I wonder if it actually is therapy or if it actually is helping your situation or helping you clear your mind in terms of thoughts and stuff. Because,
Well, it's a huge thing because apparently it's on TikTok, the hashtag character AI therapy has 6.9 billion views. Like,
wow.
And there's like this preview of a TikTok here that says, tutorial, how to get free therapy anywhere, anytime. And I think that's like so dangerous to call this therapy.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah. Right.
You're having a safe space to vent.
Right.
Quote unquote safe, because we'll get to that in a second. You know what I mean? Like that's not what therapy
exactly
is. Like, do we understand what the meaning of therapy is?
I don't think so.
Do I understand what the meaning of therapy is? I don't
Probably
know.
not. No. Me too, obviously, just to clarify. Not just you.
But it's true, you know what I mean? Like, if we're calling this therapy, all it's doing is validating, well, not necessarily validating our feelings, 'cause it does give you advice.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
It's just not, gosh, yeah, I'm not sure what the...
Yeah.
Well, I guess we have to look at what therapy is, don't we? And yeah, but it's interesting that she related it to journalism.
Journaling is a different thing.
Right, sorry, journaling. But like journaling, you'll write down your thoughts and stuff, and it's just a place where you can just
release.
Yeah, it's like whatever's on my mind, I'm putting it on a piece of paper, and it does help bring clarity. I mean, I do that. So yeah, I think it's like, so I guess it's just swap that role, but that's not. Is journaling therapy? No. So
like it's a tool to help, you know, but like that's not therapy.
No, yeah.
Therapy. Well, first of all, there's a licensed therapist.
Yeah.
You have to be licensed to do this. You know what I mean? Like, and I think we're just watering down anything and calling it accessible, but it's not. Watering something down does not make it accessible.
Yeah.
Right. If people are like, oh, well, like therapy is like super expensive and this is an accessible way, you know, that you can do it. And maybe people are afraid to go to therapy and all of these things, which are very true, you know, and very valid.
Yeah.
But then this is not accessible therapy. This is like the dollar store version of therapy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't like that part of the argument where it's like, well, it's making it more accessible.
Yeah.
It's not, because this is not what it is. It's a counterfeit of the thing.
Yeah.
So if we are trying to make something accessible for someone and giving them the fake version of it, that's actually like perpetuating the inaccessibility of therapy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And we could talk about the whole social climate and economic climate through this. You know what I mean? People can't afford something, so we give them the fake version of it.
Yeah.
That's not giving them that version.
Yeah.
Like, anyway.
Yeah.
But we're not in that kind of rant today.
So what's the danger of using this as therapy?
Well, according to this article.
Yeah. Actually, we have a couple thoughts on that, actually, on the article, right?
Yeah, well, because it says, basically there's a specific example of a Belgian man with depression who unalived himself after 6 weeks of using an AI program called Chai, according to a few different like publications. The program, which is not marketed as a mental health app, reportedly sent harmful texts and offered suicide options.
Wow. Really?
Why? Well, because this is what a social psychologist said. He says, since these models are not yet controllable or predictable, we cannot know the consequences of their widespread use, and clearly they can be catastrophic. Basically, like there's, like these are collecting information.
Yeah.
There's a lot of information that can harm people out there. So if these are not like, if the guardrails are not super strong in place, it's going to receive information and give information.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it does not have a conscience.
Right.
AI cannot have a conscience.
Yeah.
You know? And some people were saying like, okay, maybe like AI therapy is like truly not unbiased, but non-judgmental was, I think, the term that they used. Because like a human, even though like psychiatrists and therapists and psychologists are all supposed to be non-judgmental. We're all human. So we all have a little bit of that judgment. You know what I mean? And so they were saying, oh, like this is a good quote unquote thing that like, okay, an AI will have, but an AI does not have a conscience.
Yeah.
So it's just going to tell you the information that you're asking for.
Yeah.
You know, and yes, we talked about it on our other episode, like there is safeguarding put in place, but like you can't control it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's just an underlying thing though, even beyond AI and beyond whatever tool you use, because I think AI is just one of the tools that people are using. Even if it's something like the way I'm going to speak, again, that's still a tool, but it's like what actually therapy is for people and almost like their abuse of the word and what it actually is. I think that's kind of what we're going to discover a little bit more, hopefully through the series of like what actually is therapy and what is actually you just, I don't know, needing something or wanting something or, you know, like the difference between the two, I guess. Because, I feel like you could probably translate this and the use of AI into probably different areas of your life. Even in friendships, like, it's like, oh, I have this friend and they're really good for me, but they're just listening to what I have to say. And like, there's no depth there, you know, but I, this is really good for me. Like, this is what I need. I'm sure that people have relationships.
Like of course. You know? One-sided relationships, 100%.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's so interesting how people use that. Yeah. Right. Let's move on to our second article.
Yeah.
Which, we basically have people. I mean, what is it exactly? They're basically people who use different phrases and terms and what they found useful to help tackle things.
Well, basically, this is coming from another BuzzFeed article. Okay. It says 28 pieces of advice people learned from their therapists. And it started with like a Twitter thread, right? That says, if you go to therapy, quote tweet this with the best thing you learned at therapy. That way everyone else can get free therapy. Which again...
That's a bit dangerous, isn't it? Slightly.
Like, one, at least these were actually said by like professionals. But then again, it's this whole thing. It's, I'm going to take this thing out of context and I'm going to give it to you. Yeah. And yes, of course, like we should be sharing our wisdom and insight and hey, this helped me. It could help you too. But it's this whole idea of like, you can get free therapy, but like the whole point of it is to work one-on-one with somebody who could really help you specifically.
Right.
And I think we're with AI and also like stuff like this. I love this. It's great. I was reading through it. I was like, oh, that's actually a great point.
Yeah, so some of them are actually good. Yeah.
But what we're doing is we're like fast tracking everything.
Right.
I don't want to sit down with someone and have to explain my entire life and to actually dive deep and to actually deal with things. So if you just tell me the things that your highlights that worked for you, or if ChatGPT tells me, you know, hey, this is just generally how you could deal with conflict. Yeah. Amazing. I don't actually have to do anything deep. Anyway.
Yeah. It's true. It's good.
Anyway, I don't know if you have any, or you want to go through them all, or do you have some favorites?
No, let's go through a few.
Because I have some favorites.
Okay. Okay, the very first one.
Oh yeah, I have that. That
was okay. Yeah,
that was a good one.
Like I actually think I quite like it. So basically, this lady, she's saying, avoid saying the word should. It's too easy to fall into pressuring yourself and pushing yourself too much. Reframe and rephrase. So
reframe and rephrase, two big therapy speak.
Really? Okay. So, there you go. Reframe. Interesting. Okay. Well, so instead of I should exercise, it should be I like how I feel after exercise. Or it's like I should do laundry, I want clean clothes. Like it's like you're thinking of the result almost before the...
Or like the why you want to do it.
Like the pressure of like you have to do this. It's more, no, I want clean clothes.
Because when you say I should, it's like I know that's where I'm supposed to be, but I'm not there yet. And then it leaves that gap of like...
Right. That striving mentality, which is tough.
Yeah. I'm going to take this a little bit because this was a big revelation that I had in my life.
Yeah.
Basically, it was like when you feel like, oh, I should, these are very practical things.
Yeah.
But I'm sure we've all felt this. But like, oh, I should be here by now. Like, I should be doing this with my life by now. You know, I should have learned this by now. Like, you know, or I shouldn't be making these mistakes still by now. Yeah. You know? And you know what someone told me once? They were like, yeah, that's pride. Because who are you to say like where you should be in life? Like you are where you are. Like,
yikes.
And I was like, yeah. But it's true, right?
Wow, yeah.
And so for me, I'm like, okay, like that, it's good, you know, and that kind of, you know, I should work out, whatever. Yeah. But it's like, grand scheme of life, who are we to say what we should and should not be doing?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it can very easily be like playing God, which we've definitely talked about on this pod before, but yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was my two cents to this.
Is that therapy, you think?
What?
Like the should and the rephrase and the reframe idea?
Well, if it's talked about within a therapy context by a therapist in your session,
right? That is
then yes.
Yeah. Interesting.
You know, like if we continue to only look at these as isolated quotes from somebody's therapy session, then it works. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
But me reading a BuzzFeed article is not like me going to therapy.
But this it's like a change of mindset. And we're touching on behaviors and different ways to like, okay, this, when you think like this or when you say these words, these are the things that are attached to this phrase or these words. So it's like trying to reframe a little bit. That is so interesting. Yeah, I don't know.
Do you reframe?
Do I reframe?
Yeah.
Probably not loads. No, okay, I do reframe a bit. Yeah.
A popular way of reframing, which we both do, well, less so me lately, but I used to do a lot, is when something bad happens, it's like you reframe it to see how it's good.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like the silver lining kind of people.
Yeah.
But that's just one of our coping mechanisms. It's constant reframing.
Do you not think that's a good thing?
I think it has a danger to becoming an escape.
No, that's fair. Okay.
I think it's needed sometimes.
Yeah.
But then I think sometimes it's used as an escape, so we don't actually have to admit that there's a problem or deal with the problem.
All right. Well, food for thought.
Anyway.
Okay, what's one of your favorite quotes?
Let's see. I took a bunch of screenshots. Oh, here we go.
Come on, then. Let's hear it.
We're about to break out our inner child.
I see this one, yeah.
I think there's a couple on inner child, but I don't know how many I screenshotted. Your inner child isn't just your inner joy. It's also your inner anger, your inner pain, the part of you that cries out. How would you talk to a child about their pain? How would you be tender to them and help them understand it? Treat yourself with the same tenderness.
Come on, then.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I have thoughts, and I don't want to completely disregard this. I'm just
You're
no,
trying to be
very careful
yeah,
here.
You are, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, and again, this past year, we've said before, was a rough year for me. There were a lot of things that I realized, like, oh, like when this happened, it's like 11-year-old Courtney again. Like, I'm reacting out of that pain because I was stuck there in that pain, you know?
Okay.
And like, this is very valid, whatever. But okay, you recognize that happened then, you know, or like, this is whatever. This is causing these emotional triggers or outbursts or whatever it is. Yeah. But I'm also not 11 anymore.
Right.
I recognize that, you know, something happened when I was a kid and it has affected me my entire life. You know what I mean? But I'm 27 now.
Yeah.
You know, like, and so it's embracing your inner child. Like, I find it so dangerous because it almost gives us a free pass to walk in immaturity.
Yeah.
Like, we are not children anymore.
Yeah.
Yes, these things happened. And yes, when I had the realization that I was acting out of whatever, like, oh, it's because I'm like in this area of my life, in the dark, whatever of my mind, I'm still acting as a scared little child, you know? Mm-hmm. And being like, okay, now I can address this. Now I can figure out, okay, you know, we can move on, we can heal, we can figure out how then, what does that look like then for me now in these situations, you know? But I don't know. I don't know if you have any other thoughts.
I completely agree. But I'm not someone who looks at my childhood.
Yeah. Well, I didn't choose to.
No, that's fair. That's very fair. Again, I need to be careful what I say. But like, no, I completely agree.
Yeah.
You're not looking at it from the same lens anymore. But also you're much more mature enough to be able to handle what happened and deal with it.
Yeah, you acknowledge it. But I also I don't like the language used around it maybe as well. Because I think there's definitely that part.
Too much space, right?
Yeah.
Too much authority almost.
Maybe. And I understand that, okay, guys, like we understand we are very generalizing everything and take everything with a grain of salt. We are not therapists.
Yeah.
You know, and there is a certain, you know, space and like people need different kind of healing, different amounts of healing and different, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
For different things. But like, are we moving on?
Are we moving on? Well, let's move on to the next quote.
Yeah. Hey, that's a good one.
So I really like this one. But again, this is very similar to the first one. Like it's just a third in the list here, but it's like anger is pain pretending to be powerful. Behind every complaint is a desire. Say what you desire instead. So the reason why I like this, and then I'll read the rest of it. The brain is like a wheat field. Old pathways are worn and easy to tread. You have to choose a new path again and again and again before it becomes the easier one to walk. Like, it's like the Habit series or episode we did.
Yeah.
Because it's like retraining like a way to think.
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm a big fan of, the whole reframe idea. Like, I do like, I'm kind of for that, to be honest. Because like the way we think, it comes from like some really bad habits and some like insecurities and whatever else behind it, you know? So it's like if we can kind of backtrack a little bit and like form a new habit, a new way of thinking, a new way of looking at something, I think that really helps us move forward rather than like being stuck in the way that I used to think that was not healthy for me.
Yeah.
So I love stuff like that.
Yeah.
Big fan of
What
it.
do you think about anger is pain pretending to be powerful?
That's a bit much, maybe. I don't know if that's the best way to
I
explain
think,
pain or anger. Sorry, but
because I think that almost devalues anger. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, I think anger as like an outburst, maybe, or like
like
is
a
more like
reaction.
this. Yeah. As a reaction, that's good. But as a feeling,
Yeah.
like you're allowed to
No,
be
no, no.
angry.
Yeah,
Someone's allowed to make
yeah.
you angry.
Yeah, I'm
that doesn't
for
mean
it.
it's pain pretending to be powerful.
Yeah.
I just thought that was interesting because I do like the
idea
of it, but
yeah.
some of this I was like,
Yeah, I'm with that as well.
Because then it means every time that like I get angry, you're like, you're just in pain, pretending to be powerful. And I'm like, but that's a perfect example of who knows. Like this was probably told to a person in a specific situation about a specific other person.
Right. So anger in that situation
was probably
right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now we're making this for the masses, generalizing it.
Yeah.
And interesting, right?
Very.
Yeah.
All right. What's one more quote that you've got?
Oh, I have to pick. I have so many.
Oh, I mean, it doesn't have to be one more, but
My goodness. I screenshotted apparently the entire article. Let's do your primal brain doesn't know the difference between your imagination and a lived experience.
hold on. Your primal brain.
Yeah, do you like that?
I love that.
Yeah.
No, I don't know if I do love that. I'm just thinking of Liver King.
Also, I'd just like to publicly apologize for what that just looked like. Sadie's dying.
Wait, what do you mean? How did that look?
Hey, it's totally fine.
Okay.
It's totally fine.
Okay. Wow.
Anyway, we're gonna come back. Was
it cheeky?
Yeah, we'll explain it later.
Okay. Okay.
It says your primal brain doesn't know the difference between your imagination and a lived experience. So the more you imagine playing out the worst case scenario, the deeper you ingrain your fears and create anxious and self-destructive responses. Interesting. But it's true. Like I am someone that like, she's up here all the time, you know?
Yeah.
Like my imagination is so vivid, has been my entire life, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I can have a conversation with someone in my head and it feels like it feels so real.
Right.
So then I carry all these emotions, you know?
Right.
But it's like the fact that like, I don't know.
It's not real.
It's not real.
Yeah.
But also like, if you keep on leaning into that, your brain is going to get confused.
It's so interesting.
It is so interesting.
The amount of times where, because I was chatting to people about this recently, the amount of times where I've been like, oh, this is how this person is going to react. Like, let's say I have to confront something, or I have like an opinion on something. And in my mind, I've already created the conversation of how that's going to go, how they're going to react, and already my feelings on them, right? And I haven't even given them a chance to have the conversation. And then I build up this whole thing in my mind, and then I'm away with the fairies, and then suddenly like I'll have the conversation and it was great.
So chill.
And the reaction was great.
Yeah.
And everything was great.
Yeah.
And I've just wasted so much of my
emotional
space.
energy.
Yeah, emotional energy, like headspace on this.
Does it make you
unnecessary.
act differently around the person as well? Like
before? Like for sure. It makes a big difference.
Yeah.
I think so often we try and figure so much out, don't we? I mean, this is a slight side topic, but
no, it's great.
Like sometimes we just need to be like, what's my lane? Stick with my lane and don't worry about the person and their lane. Like give them the chance, you know what I mean? And it's like, I'm going to focus on and figure my own lane out. Yeah. You know?
Why do you think, like, why do we create these kind of conversations in our head? Or like, why do we go and expect? Is it like to prepare ourselves? Is it to...
I think we love it, don't we? I mean, I kind of love it. I love... Okay. I don't know if this is relatable or not. But like when I'm in my mind and I'm arguing with someone...
Because you get all the best responses.
It's class, yeah.
My clap ass?
I'm like...
10 out of 10.
For real though. It's so fun.
Yeah.
But it's not healthy at all. It's not good. But it is fun. Like, I've shut the person down. Like, I've said great things and this and that. But yeah. But also it creates something not good. And yeah, it's interesting. I was chatting to genuinely, literally about this with a few people like the other day. Yeah. So, yeah.
But it detaches us from reality.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. It's so dangerous.
Yeah.
We could say that because we do it. You know?
Yeah.
But the thing is that it's like a perfect example of how we think and how it actually affects our behavior.
Right.
Because then I've been arguing with you all morning in my brain. I come here and I'm like, well, you know.
Yeah.
But literally we actually haven't even spoken.
No.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That is so crazy. Yeah. So I think you do have to be wise about how you use like therapy speech and stuff, because you can also sometimes create something that's not real through this therapy speech or through the idea of trying to solve something. Like, you know, and even with AI and stuff like that, like that's not real. So maybe you figured it out with AI, but the person you have an issue with,
it's still there.
Yeah.
Like you still have to do like the real hard work.
Yeah.
You know? We were talking about, or as you were talking about, like having a conversation with someone, building it up in your head, and then having the actual conversation and being like, oh, that was nothing. Something that I've like learned to do is try to have that conversation like as soon as possible.
Right.
You know, like it's a practical thing. And I'm like, oh, I really don't want to talk. I don't want to do whatever. You know what I mean?
Less space for it to become something.
Exactly.
Else,
you know, and it's like learning how to like take it from theory into personal, like into reality, I guess, as soon as possible.
Yeah.
To like prevent it becoming like a thing, you know, or ChatGPT tells you to, you know, maybe you should tell your friend how you feel and all this stuff, which it's told me about, you know, because I'm like, hey, I just got into it with my friend. What should I do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Seeing what it would say.
Yeah.
And it's nice that it tells me that, you know, but then are you going to actually do it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, it's tough.
It is tough. But
Boom.
here we are.
Yeah, team, that is the wrap of the epi. Please let us know your thoughts on, if you have any thoughts on therapy speech and just general thoughts. Any insights you guys know,
or like
into
the
this?
accessibility of therapy and what therapy actually is. Again, as you know, we're not therapists. We have no real, you know,
we're just basing this off of things that we've seen.
But the thing is, as well, if BuzzFeed's making all these articles, like, it means everyone's going to start thinking that it's like so accessible that everyone's going to be an expert, like we talked last week. But hopefully this was interesting for you guys. We had a lot of fun with our research and but we'll be back next week with a new episode.
Yep. So we'll see you next week. Thank you so much for joining us at the Anchor of the Week, where we have hard conversations, hear people's stories, and challenge perspectives.
Remember, you can stay connected by following us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, as well as subscribing to our YouTube channel.
Hope these conversations are inspiring you to have hard convos as well.
We'll see you next time, and remember, attack topics and not people.